I'm fighting for parole and for my snowflake for next season. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review episode 2 of The Real Housewives who are healing of Salt Lake City. We start the episode off with Jen lying already. She's at her Airbnb house with her mom. She's eating crackers and cheese with her and building a puzzle. She goes on to say that ever since her legal issues went to the public, it's been hard for her to swallow the words that people are accusing her of. All these accusations because in her words, she's innocent. And I'm like, yeah, Jen, this is just gonna be a really rough season for you, and we're only on episode 2. And she goes on to tell her mom that, yeah, if it wasn't for her support or her family, who knows what she would do? She'll probably go insane. And honestly, I'm just looking at this whole situation because now, obviously, Jen, she has pled guilty to the public and to the courtroom. But it's just like, looking back on this, I wonder how the mom feels because you lied to your own mother to her face. I mean, you're telling her, oh, I'm innocent, I don't know what's going on, I don't know what this is about. And I wonder how the mom feels looking back at this like, wait a minute, did my daughter lie to me this entire time? Did Jen give her a heads up before she pled guilty? Did she explain to her anything prior to pleading guilty? So she also goes on to say that, you know, the other day, Coach Shaw, her husband, he walked in on one of their sons and he was crying because he was like, well, what am I going to do if mom goes to jail for a very, 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 very long time? And, you know, that's pretty sad and heartbreaking. And, you know, I do like Jen. I liked her from the very beginning of this show, season 1. And it's so sad that she did such an awful thing because it's just like, you want to give her sympathy, but at the same time, no, Jen, you did a completely horrible thing to other people. The same way that you're causing hurt, or your situation is causing hurt to your family, to your mom, to Coach Shaw and your children. The same hurt that you caused other families probably who needed that money that you allegedly scammed them out of. You want us to give you sympathy, but it's just like you didn't give any sympathy to anybody else. You didn't have that sympathy for other people when you were swiping your credit card, or, you know, buying the latest Chanel, Gucci, whatever you were buying, or your fur jackets. You didn't feel any sympathy then, right? So it's just like, save the waterworks, as Rihanna said. And don't tell me you're sorry when you're not. Baby, when I know you're only sorry you got caught. So you put on quite a show, really entertaining. Now it's time to go. Very entertaining, ooh, but it's over, Jen Shah. But she goes on to say that Coach Shah, you know, she's been dealing with him as well and, you know, crying out to him because she's been being cyberbullied online. People have been saying awful things about her ever since the legal issues broke out. And I'm looking at these tweets. I had to pause at one of them and I'm like, wait a minute. I read one of the tweets and it was like, oh, when is Jen Shah going to jail and for how long so I could slide into Coach Shah's DMs? That is horrible. Whoever tweeted that is very, very horrible. Don't do that to that woman. You know, he's going to be loyal and hold her down while she's in jail for 50, 60 years, right? Right. Were you not the same one that just liked that tweet about Brooks saying that he's a sissy bitch? So, okay then. But anyways, but you know, like I said, I want to give Jen sympathy, but it's just like, Jen, you did an awful thing. So it's just like, what do you expect? We head over to Whitney's house where Meredith comes over, and it is so interesting seeing the friendship dynamics this season because they're the complete opposite of what we saw last season. If we all remember, Meredith and Whitney could not stand each other. Whitney kept accusing Meredith over and over and over again about lying about her dad's memorial until Meredith had that huge blowout. But Meredith, she's here in the kitchen and they're playing nice. And I'm like, okay. So Whitney, her kids come on over from school, right? She has a son named Brooks. Meredith, she talks to him and she's like, well, hey, Brooks, how are you? How was school? How was English class? Did you do your homework, buddy? So I have a son named Brooks as well, and your name is Brooks, too. Maybe both of you should, you know, maybe have like a little plane date, or maybe you two should meet or something. I think it'll be so cute. I think it'll be really nice. What do you say? Brooks, Whitney's son, is looking at her like, I gotta go. It's okay, Brooks. That will be my same reaction too. Meredith, you tried it. So Whitney, she makes her and Meredith a charcuterie. Fun fact, I never knew what that was until recently. I'm like, what is a charcuterie? And why is that word always mentioned in all the Housewives? So I never knew that it was like a bunch of cheese, grapes, fruits, whatever, salad or whatever on a piece of, wood or whatever. I never knew that until recently. I'm like, oh, okay. I always thought it was some kind of infection or something like, oh, you got the charcuterie? Yeah, I need to go to the doctor. I never knew that that's what it was. But regardless, they go outside to the back. Whitney, she goes on to say, it's so nice to have Meredith come on over to my house because before when I invited her over to play with my Tickle Me Elmo and my Bratz dolls, she wouldn't do it. So I'm just so glad that we're besties now. And guess what? She follows me on Instagram. So then she proceeds to ask Meredith, what did you think about the party that we had for Coach Shaw? I personally had a good time, especially when the DJ played Baby Shark. I was having so much fun on the dance floor. Baby Shark, do 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 do, Baby Shark, do 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 do. It was so much fun, but what did you think about the party? Meredith, she goes on to say, well, I mean, I had a really nice time seeing you, Heather, and even Jennifer Shaw. But then when Lisa Barlow came up to me, I'm still dealing with that situation and all those emotions. I'm still trying to process it. But, Whitney, just between me and you, I heard some rumors about Lisa Barlow and her marriage and what she does for her Vida Tequila. And I'm like, wait a minute, Meredith. Go on, continue. Whitney, did y'all see Whitney, her face expression? The wheels were turning. She was like, yes, continue, go ahead. Camera, move in closer. She was like, boom, Mike, get a good close-up of Meredith. So Meredith, she goes on to drag Jen into this first. She's like, well, I mean, I heard it from Jennifer Shaw. And I'm like, no, Meredith, this came out of your mouth. At least that's what I remember the last episode. When you were in the jacuzzi with you and Jen, you were the one that put it out there that you heard these rumors about Lisa and her marriage, not Jen. Jen just agreed to it. She was like, oh yeah, I heard those same rumors, but I could have swore that it came out of Meredith's mouth first. So now you're trying to blame it on Jen? Meredith, I don't know. You're already getting a little sloppy here. But she goes on to say, well, I heard a lot of things about Lisa Barlow and the things that she does behind closed doors. But I heard that supposedly, allegedly, she's been doing a couple of favors for her Vida Tequila business. And I'm like, wow. Let's say that first of all, Meredith never said that she was sleeping or doing anything sexual with anybody. She just said a favor. And I believe she cleared it up on Twitter, because she was upset that people were implying that that's what she said, when clearly that's not what she said. It was Whitney who said that, because Whitney, she goes on to say, oh, well, it's funny that you say that because, I also heard the same thing. I had this really nice friend of mine. He added me on Facebook a couple of years ago and he slid into my DMs, but he's friends with Lisa Barlow and he's very mutual with him. And, let's just say that she supposedly slept with him to order it for him to invest in her Vida Tequila business. But, that's just a rumor that I heard. And I'm like, wow, Lisa Barlow, were you really sleeping with people to advance your business? Let's say that she did, right? Even if she did, I would just come out and own it. Like, okay, yeah, I got this $1 million WAP. Because of this WAP, I got a business now. You do it for free. You do it for a McChicken and large fries. I do it for a whole company. So now what? But, I don't know. Whitney, you were just smiling in Lisa Barlow's face the entire episode. And even last week. And now you're putting these rumors out there like, oh, this cast is just so messy. It's toxic. Whitney, she closes it down and she's like, well, I went to my healing person. Her name is Megan and she helps me heal. And, she told me that, Lisa Barlow is still somewhere in my spirit. And I feel like, we're going to go on this cast trip to Arizona and we're going to have a good time and we're not going to have any drama at all. We're just going to go there to heal because that's what we're going for. You need to heal. I need to heal. And Lisa Barlow needs to heal. We all need to heal our friendships. And I'm like, yeah, no, there's not going to be any healing. We saw the previews to next week. We see that your cousin Heather, she throws you against the wall. So there's not going to be any healing. We head over to Lisa Barlow's house where her and her son Jack are attempting to play basketball outside. Lisa, she's trying to make small talk with him and she's like, so, what's been going on? Did you take your SATs or anything? Whoosh, oof, did I make that? I'm such a good soccer player. So what's been going on? Like, tell me about it. Like, what's been going on? Have you been getting ready for prom? Your SATs? What's been going on? Have you thought about college? What's been going on? Jack, he's looking at her and I have a feeling that Lisa was standing on the side with like a little script. Like, okay, read this. Like she usually does. And he's just looking at her like, no, I didn't, can you put it a little bit up? Okay. No, I didn't, sign up for the SATs, Mom, because I don't feel like, what's that last word? Oh, I don't feel like going to college. So then Jack, he goes on to say that he doesn't want to go to college. He's already a businessman and all this and all that. And I'm like, ugh. A business, man. I mean, okay, you have your little what, your little shampoo or whatever, your little lotion, and now you have a business. Okay, but Lisa Barlow, she's like, well, did y'all see her reaction? She was like, wait, you don't want to go to college? You don't want to go to college? She put those glasses in turbo mode so quickly. And honestly, I mean, what Jack is saying is not wrong to a certain extent. How he was just like, I don't really feel like college. I don't feel like going to college to become a machine, I don't feel like doing all that. Maybe he could take some time off after high school and call it, maybe a day with that. Because not everybody has to go to college. People go there and then they waste their time. And for what? College is not for everybody. I went to college, and even looking back on it, I'm like, was it really worth it in the end? Maybe, maybe not. Lisa Barlow, she's concerned because she's like, well, yeah, you have a business right now. You have a business, but you do have to do more than that. You have to go to college. You have to earn your degree. Like I did the same thing. My dad, he pushed me to go to college, and look at me. I'm successful. I'm a housewife now. I hold the center snowflake. You could do the same thing for next season. I don't understand what the problem is. Jack, he's like, no, mom, fudge college. And for that alone, you need to go to college. Fudge college. What? First of all, it's fuck. But he goes on to say that he doesn't want to. He's a business. He's all that. And, sure, okay, he doesn't want to go to college. But if I was his parents, Lisa or, John, I'll be like, okay, fine. You don't have to go to college, but I'm not helping you out in your business anymore. I'm not investing my money into your business. You do it since you're such a businessman, because he swears, from top to toe, from head to toe, that he knows everything about a business. And it's just like, do you really? Because, I mean, all you really did was just put your name attached to it. Lisa and her husband were the one to really just give you the business. So if anything, this is Lisa's fault, because Lisa's like, I just don't understand why you're like this. Like, I don't get what the problem is. Like, I never made you like this. And I'm like, yes, you did by giving him this business at such a young age. What else is he supposed to think making all this money? If I was him, I also think the same thing. Like, mom, I don't care about college. I don't care about this. I have so much money coming in. I don't care about that in the moment. Yeah, it might be different in the long run. Now he's young and he's not really thinking all the way through in the future. But I mean, it is what it is. So Lisa, again, this is all you and your husband's doing. We head back over to Whitney's house, where she just got off the phone with her brother, Will. She's telling her husband, Justin, let's grab a drink. Let's sit down. We're about to have a long discussion, and trigger warning, because we're about to talk about trauma and abuse. So Whitney, she goes on to say that her brother Will, he's been going through this therapy called EDMR. I've Googled it and I have no idea what EDMR therapy is. I have no idea how you even do it. But Whitney goes on to say that it's some type of therapy, some type of hand to eye coordination therapy. I'm not sure how it makes you relive your trauma, but it does. So Will, he's been going through that, and through his therapy, he has managed to find out that Whitney has actually been abused in her childhood. So that's the part that kind of confused me. I'm like, wait a minute, because then Whitney, she starts getting all emotional and she starts breaking down and crying, and she was like, yeah, I've been abused. And I'm like, wait a minute, so you're going off of what your brother is saying through his therapy, but like, she doesn't remember anything at all. But my thing is, and this is my guess, is that Whitney, she felt like deep down inside she probably she was abused at some point in her childhood. I feel like her brother just confirmed it for her, like, okay, maybe those intuitions that I had were right, but my brother Will, by him telling me this, I was right. Those feelings were right. So maybe that's what caused Whitney's breakdown. And it was really horrible to see. I'm like, oh, wow, Whitney, I really felt for her, and the other part of me feels like, because she didn't really go on to name what exactly the abuse was. She just said that she was abused and that she's reliving it. I feel like, and this is just my guess, allegedly, going off of the season 1, where her relationship with her father, we all saw that type of relationship. It was really rocky. It was all over the place. It was very unstable. And I wonder, I could only imagine if her father played into that abuse in one way or another. I'm not sure. Again, that's just a theory. And also, I could see why now she would want to, distance herself from the Mormon church. She probably felt trapped there, and she was probably like, well, I'm being trapped here, just like I'm being trapped with my own trauma that I can't remember. So you know what? I'm going to distance myself from that, and I'm going to find myself again. So I don't blame her for doing that. We see everybody packing up their stuff for their trip to Arizona. Heather, she's getting her suitcase ready. Her daughters are looking at it like, wait a minute, mom, why do you have lingerie? Heather, she's like, yeah, I'm filming a TV show, but I'm trying to seduce a man. I'm trying to be an actual housewife for next season. Meanwhile, we see Jennifer Shaw at her Airbnb. She's talking to her husband, Coach Shaw. She's telling him, so, I'm so excited for this trip and everything. I planned this lingerie party. Coach Shaw, he is tired of her. He's like, this is what you're focusing on? On top of that, she's like, yeah, so the theme is going to be garbage, trash, whore, lingerie party. It's just so good. It's so iconic. What do you think? And Coach Shaw, he's looking at her like, maybe I should divorce her. That man is tired of Jen's antics. Like, lady, you're about to go to jail and this is what you're worried about? A lingerie party? But then again, Jen, I'm kind of upset that you didn't invite me because that's my type of party. Like a trash whore lingerie party, garbage whore, trash whore lingerie party, whatever Lisa Barlow said about Meredith. Lisa Barlow and Whitney, they meet up at the airport, and it was nice to see them actually walking through the airport. It made them seem a little bit more relatable or like down to earth, like this was their actual lives. I'm like, oh, okay, I like this. So they get on the plane. I'm looking at the seats though, and I'm like, wait a minute, why are they with the rest of the people? You know, I'm not saying that they're like millionaires or billionaires, but I'm like, wait a minute, there's no first class, nothing. They're just sitting there. Imagine if you're just sitting on the plane and you see Whitney and Lisa coming on. Oh, I would have been messy. I would have thrown a drink, try to get on the show. But they get there. They eventually head over to Arizona. Whitney goes on to say, well, I thought that me and Lisa Barlow, we would go to Arizona together first because I thought that if we have everybody together, it might cause drama and I want everybody to heal. So it's just like, I don't need that type of drama right now. You know, it's all about healing. And I'm like, yeah, Whitney, you messed up on that one because you should have had everybody get picked up in a sprinter van. And we all know that the sprinter van, it gets the best out of everybody on this cast. And you should have hired the driver from last season, Kevin, as the driver. And then boom, you would have had a good scene. And it's early in the morning. You know Meredith is going to be cranky without her coffee. But okay, you blew it. So eventually her and Lisa, they make it to Arizona. Then we see Meredith, Heather, and Jen. They're in the airport. And again, I love seeing them just walking through the airport looking all confused. So the producer is asking Heather in the confessional, so are you excited about Arizona? Are you excited about your trip? Heather's like, I mean, no, it's kind of like the redheaded stepchild to Salt Lake City. So, I mean, does it really matter? I mean, who cares? I mean, it's just another place that's hotter with more white people. And then we see Meredith in her confessional, same question. She's like, well, I mean, I'd rather go to Saint-Tropez or Belay or somewhere else that's tropical. But I mean, I guess this is what we have to do because of Jennifer Shaw. Then we head over to Jennifer Shaw in her confessional, and she's like, Team USA, Team USA. Jen, please, it's your fault that the reason why we haven't gotten any type of tropical trip on this show at all. This is the third season, and we have yet to see any of the women leave the country, I think, right? I mean, they've gone to Las Vegas, and then that was it, right? They didn't go anywhere. It would have been nice to see them in Cancun or in Mexico, somewhere else besides the USA. But I mean, I guess they can't go anywhere because of Jen's restrictions. I mean, if they have to keep it in the States, couldn't they at least go to like New York or California or like, I don't know, anywhere, Miami? Miami would have been nice to see them all travel in, but we go to Arizona. Yippee. Lisa and Whitney make it to the house that they're staying at in Arizona. Two people are greeting them at the door with drinks. They're so happy about it. Lisa's like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love this drink. Give me that drink. Oh, I love this gate. Oh, I love this door. Oh, it has a doorknob. I love it. Oh, it's so cute. Thank you, baby gorgeous. Thank you for this drink. Whitney and Lisa, they go inside the house. The house, I thought for a second that they had traveled to Atlanta, to Chateau Cheray, because the house is beautiful. The house is so nice and huge. I'm like, wow, Whitney, okay. I mean, you know, okay, Whitney, I think you might be a future producer on this show. I give you 2 points for this house. This house was beautiful. Then we got a mention of Mary M. Cosby. They go in there and Whitney's like, this house kind of reminds me of Mary M. Cosby's house when I used to come over. Oh wait. She never had me over. She didn't like me. But it reminds me of Mary's house. It's so nice, just like her house. And then we get a little flashback of Mary when she said, women. It was a nice, cute little callback to Mary. I'm like, oh, she is Miss, regardless of whatever way everybody feels about her now. But Whitney, she goes on to say, I really miss Mary. No, you don't, because if you did, you would have fought a little bit harder for her last season. But that's neither here nor there. So eventually, they take it to the pool outside, right? Whitney, she has on this bathing suit. She has her drink, her margarita drink, in between her breasts. And I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty impressive. Then she starts drinking out of it. And I'm like, wow, that's even more impressive. I'm like, okay, Whitney. So then she follows that up by talking about her trauma. I'm like, okay, I guess this is what we call titties and trauma. But she goes on to tell Lisa about her trauma and how she's going through therapy and she's, uncovering things from her childhood. Lisa, she makes it about herself for a second and she tries to be relatable by talking about her own trauma that she went through in her childhood. I believe she went on to say that her and her sisters were basically adults at a very young age, that they had to kind of rely on each other because their parents weren't really there for them. And I'm like, okay, that's understandable. Lisa goes on to ask Whitney, so have you talked to Meredith at all about our situation? I mean, I know that she's still mad at me, but I don't know why she's mad at me. And it's just so much that I'm gonna do for her before I bend backwards for her. I'm not doing it anymore. I mean, I can only say I'm sorry so many times. So have you talked to her, Whitney? Whitney, I'm looking at her like, Whitney, now don't lie to her, because you just talked about Lisa earlier in the episode to Meredith, and you put those accusations out there that she supposedly, allegedly slept with somebody in order to advance her Vida Tequila business. So now are you gonna be honest? She's just looking at her like, yeah, I talked to her earlier, but that's a conversation for you and Meredith to have. I'm all about healing. Like, you and her need to heal your friendships too. So, no, I didn't say anything about you. I don't know. You want to play with my Tickle Me Elmo? I'm like, wow, Whitney. Okay, fine. But once Lisa finds out what you said, it's not going to be pretty. Then we see Meredith, Heather, and Jen finally arrive, and they're getting out their sprinter van. And every time I see a sprinter van on this specific city, I always get shaky. I'm like, okay, what just ended up happening? Is there about to be some drama? Should I prepare myself? But they get out, they get to the poolside, and they're all looking around in the house. They see Whitney and Lisa, and it is just so awkward to see Lisa and Meredith kind of avoid each other the entire time. Meredith, she goes up to Whitney, and she's like, "Hi, Whitney, I'm so excited to see you. Look, I got you this nice little balloon. It's a cock. Yeah, I love cock balloons, and I know you love them too, and I got you this drink." Is that Lisa Barlow? Anyway, I'm so excited to see you. Wow, you look so lovely. So again, they're all interacting with her. Heather and Jen, they're so excited to see her. Jen is grabbing onto her boobs. She's like, "I missed you guys so much." Meanwhile, Lisa Barlow is just sitting on the side like, is anybody gonna say hi to me? Eventually, they interact with her as well, but again, it's just very awkward, and the tension is rising between Meredith and Lisa because they're not talking to each other. Meredith, in her confessional, the producer's like, "So, do you not want to talk to Lisa at all?" Meredith is just like, "No, I don't." And I'm like, okay. So then they're moving into the house, right? This is where Whitney messed up again for the second time, because she goes on to say, "Oh, I pre-planned everybody's room just so there won't be any drama." And I'm like, Whitney, do you not realize what show you're on? No, in order to pick rooms, you need the drama. You need some type of game. But no, she wants to be all nice and everything and just give everybody rooms. On top of that, she gives Jennifer Shaw the biggest master room. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever. I guess she'll need it for a memory when she's in her little jail cell eventually, allegedly, if she does end up going in jail. So Whitney's showing everybody around the house and giving them their rooms. And honestly, even if you don't get the master room, all the other rooms are just as nice because the rooms are beautiful. They all look so good. So Meredith, she gets her room and she's like, "Oh, I love it. I think it's so nice in here. It's so pretty." Everybody gets their own room and they make it to the kitchen, right? And then this is where Whitney, she kind of makes a toast to Jen. She's like, "So guys, I know that this trip is about healing and everything, and we're all here to have a good time and maybe cause drama and fight and mend friendships and heal. But I feel like this is also for Jennifer Shaw because she needs us as friends. You could borrow my Bratz dolls and my Barbie dolls whenever you want, okay, Jennifer Shaw? I'm gonna be your friend till the end, okay? But this trip is about healing and also about Jen." Jen, she starts getting emotional, and I know Jen, in her head, she probably has them all fooled. She's probably like, "Oh my God, I can't believe I scammed everybody out of their money, but I'm also scamming these dumb bitches right here. They're also falling for this, and they're giving me the master bedroom. Like, I can't believe this. Thank you so much, you guys." Like, okay, fine, whatever. Let's make this about Jen. It is what it is. But I do wonder, when she went to plead guilty, I wonder how was everybody else's reaction, and I wonder if they got it on camera, because again, they're all over here just basically kissing Jen's ass like, "We're here for support. We're here for support. We're here for support." And then in the end, she's guilty, so she made all of them kind of look dumb. So I'm curious to see what their reaction was. Whitney and Heather go into one room, and Whitney is catching her up on everything that her and Meredith talked about earlier in the episode. And then this is where Whitney, as a producer, gets sloppy because she starts butchering Meredith's words. She's like, "Oh yeah, so Meredith, me and her talked, but she said that Lisa did so many sexual favors to everybody in Utah for her Vida Tequila business." And I'm like, that is not what she said, Whitney. Like, you are taking it way too extreme with this. Well, Meredith said, and I quote, "I heard that Lisa does a couple of favors, for people for her Vida Tequila business. That is it." That is all she said. She said favors. She never said anything sexual or that she was having an affair or any of that. But Whitney, she just takes it and runs with it, and she turns 1 to 100. But then again, that'll be me. I'll be exaggerating stories like it's nothing. I'll be like, "Oh yeah, she got into a fight. Then she took out a baseball bat and she beat her with it. Yeah, it was crazy." Knowing damn well it was just a hair pull. You gotta add some spice to the story to make it more juicier. So maybe that's what Whitney is doing. She probably just, butchered the whole story on purpose. So Heather's just like, wait, what? You also heard these rumors too? Whitney's just like, yeah, I heard these rumors too, but I don't want to repeat anything because I don't want to be in the middle of all of that. Let's heal and mend friendships and hold hands just went right out the window with you, Whitney, because if you really wanted to do that, you would have never involved yourself or never said anything in that conversation with Meredith earlier, because what Meredith said was that she was doing favors. She never said anything about sexual favors or affairs or any of that. You're the one that's putting yourself in the middle, so if anything, it's you to blame. You're the one that's going to be the one everybody's pointing fingers at, because Meredith is going to look at you like, I never said that, and Lisa's gonna look at you like, wait a minute, why are you repeating that when me and you were cool now? So it's just like, at the end of the day, Whitney, you're the one that's gonna end up looking like the bad guy in this whole situation. But she's like, yeah, I don't want to be a part of it, I want to remove myself from the situation, blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, so much for your healing. Everyone but Meredith heads outside to meet with the shaman. The shaman has this activity planned out for them. They're gonna sit on their mats and she's gonna give them a bowl of something called cacao, and I'm looking at it like, ugh, cacao. But they're all sitting down, and then the shaman, she's like, okay, so we're all gonna take a sip of this cacao, and we're all gonna, say something that we wanna release into the air and something that we wanna call into our lives. So we start out with Whitney. Whitney says she wants to let go of her trauma and bring in oneness. And then she goes over to Heather. Heather, she says, I wanna let go of shame because, obviously she's not a Mormon anymore, Mormon. And she wants to let go of the shame that she has brought her family, and she wants to bring in a man into her life and a husband. So then we move over to Jen Shah, right? Jen Shah, she's like, I want to call in my innocence. Oh, whatever that means. I'm like, you want to call in your who? Innocence was right next to her phone, like, who's calling me? Jen Shah? Decline. She's probably like, don't call me. I'm not coming. I'm not answering the phone call. But she wants to put that out there into the world. I'm like, okay. So then we move over to Lisa Barlow. Lisa Barlow already with the theatrics. She's like, I wanna bring in love and harmony and peace, and I wanna let go of hate and, revenge and everything. Like, I'm a really nice person. Does anybody have a Diet Coke? Like, I wanna bring in really, really, really love into my life. I wanna bring so much love into my life. Was that good? I'm like, the theatrics. So then again, they all take a little sip of their cacao. And then, the mood is all good. Everything is flowing well. And I'm like, okay, we're finally maybe getting to a better place. Meredith, she comes out. And the whole vibe shifts. Meredith, she was just inside the house talking to Zeph. Zeph was in there. He was like, so have you talked to Lisa? Have you seen her? Meredith is just like, yeah, I've been avoiding her though, blah, blah, blah. But I need to go out there and film. So she's coming out. She sits on the mat sitting right next to Lisa Barlow. The shaman. Oh, the shaman is so messy. For a person who has to bring in peace to this world, she asked Meredith a messy question. I'm pretty sure that she probably watched season 1 and season 2 right before she filmed this scene, because she asked Meredith, so Meredith, do you want to, let go of anything, of anybody or any relationship specifically sitting right next to you? Do you want to let go of any of that? And I'm like, ooh, so messy. But Meredith, she goes on to say, well, I'm in a very vulnerable state right now because I was just with this group of women last season and I'm still recovering from everybody accusing me of lying about my dad's memorial, and I'm still not over that, so I'm trying to put myself in a more vulnerable place right now with these women, and I'm trying to forgive. And I'm like, okay. So they all take a little sip again of their cacao, and then I believe the next thing that they start doing, it looks like voodoo to me, because they start laying down and then she has them cover up with these blankets, and I'm like, absolutely not. I'm going inside or in the jacuzzi. I'm not participating in whatever witchcraft they got going on. But they're laying down. The shaman, she's like, okay, everybody now yell. And if you notice, they were filming this scene for quite some time, because when they all got outside in the first place, it was sunny and all nice outside. And then by the end of it, it was nighttime. So they must have been outside for a good minute. Eventually, they're all yelling out into the atmosphere and all this and all that. The neighbors were probably like, shut the fuck up. Meredith, she goes on to speak again, and she's like, I remember when this group used to be a really safe space for me. It used to be a good safe space for me, and I used to feel like I could trust everybody in this group. What did Lisa Barlow say? Lisa should have just kept quiet, because Lisa was just like, well, I used to be your safe space. Meredith was just like, you're not a safe space, Lisa. And then what killed me was Lisa was just like, never mind. That interaction right there between both of them was the funniest thing the entire episode. She shut that down so quickly. I used to be a safe space for you. No, you weren't. Lisa gets up and walks away in a rage, but luckily she doesn't call Meredith any names this time. She locks herself in her room. Heather, she gets up and she's like, no, we need to film a show. So she goes over there. She convinces Lisa to come back. Lisa's like, well, I've been practicing, to walk away from situations if it bothers me. But you know what? I'm willing to come back. So they all come back. The shaman, I'm convinced that this shaman isn't a shaman. This shaman is a producer because all of a sudden the shaman is like, maybe you guys should take it over there to the dinner table and discuss your issues. And I'm like, interesting, shaman, but good idea. So they move it over to the dinner table. Jen, she goes on and she starts getting emotional. And she's like, it was one night, I believe. She just got up and she went to go visit her dad's grave. And, it's just really crazy to me because it just goes to show you that in your time of desperation where you can no longer see the light at the end of the tunnel, you'll start doing whatever in order to make yourself feel better or in order to feel some type of peace. And, part of me, but there's a little part of me that feels like, is Jen really innocent in this whole situation? And she probably just took the guilty plea, like, okay, I'll plead guilty just because everybody else pled guilty. And of course, they're going to look at me like I'm guilty too, so I might as well. Or is she like really, really guilty? I'm not sure. It's just like her behavior is just, it has me looking at it like, I don't know, Jen, can you really be this delusional and really try to lie to us on the show this entire season saying that you're innocent, you're innocent, you're innocent? I don't know, but maybe she's just gaslighting me and I'm falling for it. But eventually, Whitney, she's getting all emotional and Lisa's like, what's going on, Whitney? What's going on? What's going on? So Whitney's just like, well, I've been trying to figure out, some issues and some trauma that I've been going through in my childhood and stuff through therapy and stuff. And then she finally comes out with it and she confesses to them. And she's like, well, I've gone through abuse as a child in my childhood. Heather, her reaction was interesting because Heather's just like, you? Like, you're the one that's been going through abuse. And Whitney's just like, yeah, but I don't know why she would say that. I mean, again, they're cousins. So I would assume that she would have at least told Heather a little bit of her trauma or some type of abuse that she thought in her head or whatever that happened back in her childhood. But yeah, Heather's reaction was very interesting. On top of that, it's interesting because Whitney is sharing all of this. But then next week, we see that Heather, she's body slamming her against the wall. So I'm like, how do we go from this to that in like 2 seconds? But then again, with this cast, anything is possible. And then we leave it off at that. And again, I'm just very curious to see how their relationship falls apart. Maybe Heather feels like she's lying about something or whatever. Maybe that's it, but who knows? I guess we'll figure it out next week. Let me know what you all thought about this episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.